Well, there's been a deadline given by a couple of groups who have said to illegal migrants, these are people who are not registered in South Africa to be migrants in the country, who are working in the country, has told them by tomorrow, the 30th of June, they must leave. And they are going to march, and they march with weapons, they march with whips, they have beaten people repeatedly, and it's an extremely explosive situation. This is across the whole of South Africa. There's not one area that is not involved. It's come to this because of one issue, and that is the massive, massive unemployment in South Africa. If you're below 24, you are likely to be 60% chance that you will not have a job. Even if you have a job at the most miserable wages, it's going to be incredibly difficult to live. And people are desperate, and they turn on people they know. These are not whites that they're attacking, they are other Africans, people from the rest of Africa, and they are beating the hell out of them. I mean, the last 4 years, nearly 500 foreign Africans have been killed in South Africa. It's absolutely atrocious. There are, of course, groups in South Africa who are mobilizing for and against these marches. I mean, there are civic societies who are actually trying to mobilize and say, look, it's not the foreign Africans who are the problem, it is other people who are the problem, it is the system, but it's very difficult to sell that idea. But there are outside powers who are also involved, and there are two in particular. One is there are indications that because South Africa is bringing a case at the International Court of Justice against Israel, that there are some Jewish funders or Israeli funders who are putting money into parties who are very xenophobic. I'm not saying they are directly involved in these marches, but they've certainly been involved in funding groups who stir up trouble against foreign Africans. The other one is bizarrely Russia. Don't forget that in the middle of about 2015, Jacob Zuma did an enormous deal with Vladimir Putin, about $100 billion worth of nuclear power. This was blocked by the courts, and there has now been a very well-funded campaign by South African nuclear power. Somebody who works for them has been now raising money to try and change the South African constitution so that this kind of case could not be brought in the future, as they say that the system of nuclear power is essential for South Africa. But behind that is Vladimir Putin. Well, because if you can stir up enough violence against anything or enough anger, you can mobilize people to change the constitution. And that's what the people that are involved behind it are trying to do. Change the South African constitution, for example, so that it no longer says South Africa belongs to all who live in her, which is the preamble to the South African constitution. They want to say South Africa belongs to South African citizens. And using all these various means, they want to basically, it's all surrounding the nuclear question. It sounds bizarre, but it's true. We don't know at this stage. I mean, it's way too early to tell on that. But what we are sure about is that there are marches taking place today, Monday, and that by Tuesday it's going to be incredibly dangerous. We've already seen something like 10,000 Malawians bust out of just Durban. Other people are leaving from other parts of the country, people being flown out to Ghana, to Kenya, to Nigeria. People are desperately frightened, and their governments are standing by them, trying to get them out. But it is really, really dangerous. And don't forget that there are something like 3 million Africans in South Africa who thought that they could come and work here. Now, many of them don't have the right documentation, but that's true all around the world. And they are now at danger. I hope not. But as I say, there have already 500 people have already been killed. South Africa is an incredibly dangerous country. 60 people a day are murdered in South Africa. It is incredibly dangerous. And while it has a smiling face, very often people find a different place. And you know, the government has done some pretty bad things. The Secretary General of the ruling African National Congress put out a video in which he blamed Zimbabweans during the apartheid era for undermining unionization and saying they took our jobs and they were used as scabs during strikes. And this is the last thing you need. Now, President Ramaphosa has gone around trying to appeal to the traditional leaders like the Zulu King and various other royal personages in South Africa and said, look, you know, please make sure this doesn't happen. They've mobilized the police. I don't think they've mobilized the army. They have not declared a state of emergency. They have not banned marches. And for example, they haven't even mobilized the bit of the South African Constitution which explicitly rules out carrying weapons. You're not allowed to do it. Do the police arrest anybody who carries a weapon? No, they don't.